he's got to answer the signal. He's told him to back up. He answers the signal, let him know that he got it. Now, if you look up this way with your cameras, make sure the two tops are open, the seat's coming out. They will shut them off when they get closer. They get the pictures like before that.
Hey, number one's running.
Watch the step on the front of the track. Okay, come right up to the door. We start maintenance roundhouse where maintenance is done on the trains and they're stored when they're not working in the park. As you can see, we've got a pit under every track. The pit is so maintenance can go down there and work on the train. They are connected by tunnels so that they don't have to come up every time they need a tool.
What about ash?
Now, when a crew comes in the morning, it takes, these engines are cold, it takes about an hour to get them fired up so they're ready to go in. Very first thing they do is they go over to the office over there. They get the order of the day, whatever the order for the trains are of the day. Every job has a checklist. The checklist is a list of the things that need to be done by the engineer, by the fireman, by the conductor. In the order they need to be done as they do them, they have to check it off. And then at the end of the morning, once it's done, they've got to sign it, give it to a coordinator. He checks it, signs it, and then it goes to a manager. Before it can go into service, all three of those have to be checked. Then it goes into service. That's before you can ride on it, okay? Now, the very first thing when the crew comes in is they come over there to them gray boxes on the wall, and they turn on the overhead vents. The vents are like a vent over your stove in the kitchen, except a whole lot bigger. A train is not allowed to be fired without those vents being turned on. If the fireman tends to overfuel it or whatever, this thing will smoke like the world's on fire. I won't believe it. So, the engineer and the firemen go up in the cab. They have 16 valves up there. It's got to be checked. They check all the safety items. They check the waste. They check the fuel. They check the oil, the fire extinguishers, everything that there is to check. The fireman, of course, starts to build a fire. The conductor is responsible for the cars. But the very first thing the conductor does is he takes his checklist, walks out, and sets the track so that his train, the next train out, can come out. Then he walks back and he starts checking the cars for cleanliness and make sure everything is okay and in its place. He also has to check between the cars. Okay? Every conductor carries a flashlight so he can look down there because he's got to check the couplings, he's got to check the safety chains, the air brakes, make sure the valve's in the right direction, the electrical connections. We've got a little tattletale box called an overspeed. If an engineer goes too fast, it goes off and tattles on him. So we've got to check the setting on that, make sure that's good. And he does that between every car all the way till he gets to the back. Then he checks the spiel on the back. What you hear when the guy's talking as you're going around the track is activated by the conductor at certain spots around the track. He's also got to check the PA, the light system, and the voltage to make sure that the generator's putting out. Once that's all done and it's ready to come out, they actually shut the fire down. Okay? They shut the fire down for two reasons. One is so as they pull it out, they don't burn the paint off the top of the garage. The other reason is one of our maintenance people has to go down these stairs and check everything from underneath that's been checked from the top. Okay? So because they're fuel oil, if it could puddle in the corner and not light, it could run over and run out. And it does run out burning. We don't want to take a chance on this guy getting burnt down underneath. So we got to make sure the fuel's out. Then the conductor comes up and stands on that mat there right alongside where the maintenance man is. He is the safety man for the maintenance man because the maintenance man is looking at things with his flashlight and under there watching things. If his clothes got caught on something or whatever, it's up to the conductor being his safety man to make sure the train gets stopped. Now once everything is checked under the engine, he tells them to pull ahead. Now the conductor goes to the back of any car or the closest car. There is a switch just like the one on the back. He gives it two buzzes for move ahead. The engineer answers back with two toots and they start to pull it out to the first red dot. See the red dots out there? He pulls it out very slowly out to the red dot. The maintenance man is under there checking everything, listening for any noises, maybe a bearing going bad, something like that. And he starts to pull it out. Once they get outside the door with the firebox out over away from the pit, they refire it and continue to pull it out. Now we have that safety switch on the back of every car. That safety switch has dual purposes besides being able to send signals here. If we're in a station and the train starts to pull off and someone gets up as the train's moving, we've got to stop that train because that's a dangerous thing. The engineers, because of noise and requirements, have to wear hearing protection. So if I yelled at them, hold the train, there's no way they'd hear me. So if I'm the station conductor, I can run to the back of any train, throw that switch up, the box goes off in the cab and they hear that. So that's the safety switch. And as soon as those people are off, safely off the train, we give it two flips, they send back with two toots, and they pull the train on out. Now, that's done until the whole train gets out, and then we have other tests that we're going to show you how they work and stuff before we go back or on our way back. There'll be some safety related items, and I'll talk about them once we get back on the train. Now, when these trains were originally purchased and sent to Tampa Bay, Roger Brody went over there initially, and steamships were kind of on their way out. Now, they were kind of slow on work, and he went to the foreman, he talked to the foreman, and he said, I'm gonna have 4 trains, I'd like to have them rebuilt, I'd like you guys to do it. The foreman's name was George Britton. George said, I don't know anything about trains. I know about steam, everything there is. Roger said, that's wonderful, you're the man I want. If I hire someone that knows about trains, they'll fix them how they want them fixed. I want them fixed my way. I'll work here with you till they're done. So they disassembled all the trains, marked them, numbered them like a big jigsaw puzzle, and refurbished them. When the trains came back, we actually hired George Britton away from the steamship company, and he worked here as our maintenance foreman, head of maintenance, for 40 years. He just retired about 5 years ago. At his retirement party, all the newspapers and stuff were here, and the TV programs and stuff, and and they were asking him questions, and one of the reporters said to him, "What do you think of the other parks?" And he said, "I don't know, I've never been to the other park." Never been to the other park, why not? There's no rails run over there. This man was another kind of like Roger Brogy. He was a mechanical genius. Any of the equipment that you see on the other side, this here was something we just got about a year ago. This is a ball or Cadillac. But you cannot buy any of the equipment for laying rails and track and everything. Everything that we have, the man built right here for our tools. You think about a train. When you go on a regular train, you enter from the end of a car, walk in, sit down in the seat, and go on your train. If we had to unload and load cars here, we wouldn't be able to unload in 2.5 minutes, much less reload and send them on their way. So these cars were developed for quick and easy loading so that we can load and unload. And like I said, every train has its own cars. They're all 4 different colored. The train that we were on, the show train, normally gets put away in the morning. If we're only running 2 trains, it will sit here. If we're running 3 trains, it has to be disconnected, okay, because there are no safety rails for the guests. We have the safety rails hanging on the wall back there, but it takes about 2 hours to get them put back on. It takes about 10 minutes to switch cars. So this would be disconnected and back over there, coupled to its regular cars. The ones you can see back there is 401, and they would come out. As long as it's not needed, it's just left here, set here for the rest of the day. Now out in Disneyland, when they first built the trains and stuff, they actually had